Hello and welcome to another Tech Talk with Baloo. We're going to be jumping right back into OBS today to learn a little bit more about audio. What gets that microphone sounding studio quality? What gets you sounding so crisp and clear when you're streaming or recording? And those are going to be your filters. So it doesn't matter what microphone you have, you can get any microphone sounding great. So we're going to talk about filters, and we're going to talk about another way to split your audio in order to produce a better final mix. So let's jump right on into it. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the link in the description for the Windows audio capture from OBS Studio. So it's a plugin that was created for OBS in order to capture audio from different applications running on your computer. So this will allow you to grab different audio sources in order to separate the audio feeds within your OBS, so that you can control the levels independently within OBS as opposed to going into each application in case you need to adjust the volume. So you're just going to go over here, you're going to click on the Go to Download button right here. You're going to go to the download, and then on this page, you're going to want to run the exe file. So once you click that, I've already done it. It'll just download something here. You're going to want to go ahead and run it anyway. So click Keep. And then you're going to want to click Run. I've already done it, so we're not going to do that again. But it just says that you protected your PC. Just click More Info and click Run anyway. Again, I've already downloaded it, but go ahead and do it. I've had zero troubles with this when I've used it, so it is totally perfectly safe to use. But once you get that installed, you're going to want to go to your OBS. And first thing you're going to want to do is you put your microphone on your scene. Chances are you already have your microphone there, but we're going to put our audio input capture. And we'll just call this our XLR mic, and we're going to hit OK. Now, you're going to want to make sure you select the proper source once again. So go down here. I run all my audio, microphone audio through VoiceMod, so it's set up through there. And as you can see here now, we do have the bar bouncing down here at the bottom to show us that it is registering our voice. Now, we did briefly talk about filters. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up some filters. Depending on the quality of your microphone, you may need to adjust certain things, and these numbers are going to be different for everybody. So just play around with it, listen to yourself on recordings, get a friend to hop in a call with you to test them out to see what works best for you. But you're going to want to click on the cogwheel, and you're going to want to go to Filters. That's going to pop up this menu here. And from here, you want to hit the plus button in the bottom right. Now, there's a couple here that are more important. So what you're going to want to first do is probably put in a gain. Now, you don't necessarily need a gain. If your microphone is loud enough already, then you don't have to do this one. But as you can kind of see with my bass talking, standard talking, I'm just kind of in the green at max volume. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to add a gain to the microphone. You can just leave it called gain. And I'm going to increase it just a little bit. And as you can see, as I increase the gain, I'm not talking any louder, but that red bar, all of a sudden I'm peaking and I'm blowing out the microphone. So that's too high, but we want to maybe set it somewhere so we're in the yellow there. So that's a pretty good range for our voice with that microphone. Next, depending on how you stream, how you record, if you get super excited, if you start yelling, a limiter is another thing that you might want to look at adding. When you add a limiter, basically it caps your microphone at a certain volume so that you don't peak or blow out the audio. So again, you want to just adjust the threshold, to whatever level you want. As you can see, as I lower the threshold, it's making my mic lower and lower in volume. So you want to set that so that you don't, like I said, you don't blow your audio out, but it still allows you to get a range of audio in. Typically, you want it to be just around end of the yellow, beginning of the red, so that way you're not losing any of the audio quality there. And then the final one that you're going to want to add is more than likely what we call a noise gate. Now, what a noise gate does is it basically has a setting on your microphone that prevents your microphone from turning on below a certain volume. So that way, if there's any kind of background noise or anything going on around you, you can actually cut that out so that it won't just pick up that noise all the time. So basically, the open threshold is at what point, at what volume your microphone will turn on to start capturing your audio. So again, these are the ones that are going to be more specific to your voice, to your surroundings. But you can kind of play around with this to at what point, because you want to make sure if you like want to whisper or anything like that, it would still register that. But if you've got a fan over in the corner, if you've got other people home, it might be a good idea to keep this a little higher. And then the close threshold refers to at what point when the audio dips below that volume, when the microphone will turn off, so that it needs to pick up your open threshold again in order to start actually picking up the audio. So you want to set these and just kind of play around with them. Again, looking at the bar right down here, just to kind of see, keep talking, just to see what your voice sounds like, what your levels are. Start and stop talking to kind of see what it picks up. And then you're going to want to go back up here to the attack time. So you want to keep this relatively quick. Again, it really just depends on your surroundings, but the attack time is how quick your microphone will turn on after it picks up the volume at your open threshold level. So if you have volume that hits 38 decibels, it will take 25 milliseconds for your microphone to turn on. If you start talking really quickly, if you're a quick speaker, then you probably want to lower this. So we'll just put it down to say 10 milliseconds. If you speak a little bit slower, then you might want to, you can leave it a little higher, but generally you want to just kind of keep it fairly quick so that it does pick up your voice as soon as you start talking. The release time, that's how long it will take until the close threshold takes effect. So basically, once again, when your audio hits that, say 30 decibels, it's going to activate the release time and then turn the microphone off. So then that way you're going to need to hit your open threshold volume again before it will actually pick up any audio. So if it drops below 30, but you speak within that 150 milliseconds, it will keep your microphone on. So if you're a little more drawn out, you take pauses in your sentences. In order to create a smoother audio experience, you might want to increase the hold and the release time, because this will just basically ensure that your microphone stays on in between sentences, in between words, more specifically. That said, you can take pauses and restart, and it's not going to really affect your audio that much. Obviously, you're not going to want to just be talking. You're going to take breaths and all that kind of stuff. So just play around with it again. Start and stop, and then listen back to the audio. Does it sound choppy? Does it sound smooth? And that will really help to improve the audio quality of your microphone. And using these three settings, just go down here and hit close. These three settings will help you get a better sounding microphone, more crisp, more clear, and allow any kind of microphone to sound better. USB microphone all the way up to an XLR condenser microphone as well. So now that we have our microphone all set up with all our filters, the next thing we're going to want to do is add a window audio capture feature to our applications that we use, such as music and Discord. So make sure you've got that plugin installed correctly, and you will know if you come down to sources, you're going to hit the plus button and you're going to go application audio output capture. If this does not appear in your list, please try reinstalling the plugin from the website in the link below to make sure this appears. If you had OBS open when you installed, just make sure you close out of OBS and reopen it, and it should be there for you. But when you click on this, you're going to want to name it Spotify or whatever music program that you use. We use Spotify, DMCA free music remixes, that kind of thing. But it'll open up this window for your window audio capture. So you want to leave it as capture audio sessions from a selection of executables, and what that means is your .exe files. So this is where you're going to find something like Spotify.exe, and you're going to come down here and you're going to want to find in your list Spotify right down there at the bottom, and you're going to click add executable. Now you can add a bunch to here. So if you use Spotify or if you use Pretzel Rocks, whatever program that you use, you can actually add them all to this list. You can add more than one, and you're usually not going to play all of them at the same time. So you can add Spotify, Pretzel Rocks, all of your executables into here, and then whichever one you use, it'll capture audio from that one. And that way you don't need to have a different source for each program, but you can kind of group them by similar function, if you will. But we're just going to leave it at Spotify for now. We're going to come down here and hit OK. So now, as you can see, we have in our audio mixer a Spotify and our XLR mic tab. Now, if we hit play on our music on Spotify, you're going to see that Spotify starts. So you can see it's actually kind of loud right now. So you can either move it down and you can bring it all the way down. You can control it with the slider, or like we talked about, you can actually install a filter. And if you go here and press the plus button, you can go and add in a gain. But rather than increasing the volume, we're going to grab the slider and we're going to bring it down. And as you can see here, it's sliding down right down here. It is sliding that music right down. So you can play around with that if you'd like. But we're gonna leave it right about here, because again, that is a good volume for the music. But because we're in the filters for the music, the other thing that we're gonna cover too is what we call sidechain or audio ducking. So this uses the compressor filter within OBS. So you wanna come back down here to the plus, and you're gonna wanna choose the one that's called compressor. And you can just leave it called compressor. You can call it whatever you want. But it's going to give you a few different options here. So you've got the ratio, the threshold, attack, release, and output gain, with the final one being the sidechain / ducking source. So we'll go through each of these individual ones, but just start by choosing the source that you want this to be affected by. So when you're installing your compressors, you want to make sure that when you add the sidechain or ducking source, you want to install it on the source you want to become quieter when the other source becomes active. So in this case, because we're applying the filter to Spotify, when it detects audio through the XLR mic, it's going to lower the volume of Spotify. And then it's going to be affected by the different filters that we have here. So as you can see, right now the ratio is 10:1, but the threshold is quite high. So we're going to lower the threshold. And as I lower the threshold, just look to see what happens to the Spotify green bar as we lower the threshold while we're talking. As you can see here, when I'm talking now, all of a sudden that Spotify is lowering, but it's actually coming right back up very quickly when I stop talking. So we're going to leave the threshold at about -40, because that's about where our voice is. And then we're going to increase the release time. And I usually like to take this quite high, because this means that when you are speaking, there's going to be 500 milliseconds now, roughly, before that music starts to come back up. And that's just going to prevent the music from kind of jumping up and down while you're speaking. If you're taking natural pauses during your breath, during your sentences, to take a breath, my apologies. And that will just allow for a better listening experience. So again, you can change the output gain if you want to adjust the volume. And the attack time is how quickly this happens. Ratio is the basically the ratio for how much it is affected when your microphone turns on. So right now it's a 10:1 ratio. So for every 1 decibel that my voice is, it's going to lower the Spotify by 10. So you can play around with that ratio. You can make it a lot bigger. And if you can see here, as I increase that ratio, Spotify basically disappears. If you don't want it to be as big, you can just lower it less than 10. But we're just going to leave it at 10 for right now. And because you can see in that mixer below, it's making the music actually very quiet. So we can actually decrease that ratio. So the music is still present, but it's just a little quieter in the background. So my voice becomes prominent in the audio mix. So that's kind of how you set up a compressor there. But you can also do, if you go back in here, go back into your sources, and you're going to want to add another application audio output capture for, say, if you play games with friends and you use Discord. So we can call this one Discord. And so it can be any kind of communication. So if you use Discord, if you use Xbox Party Chat, whatever it may be, you're going to want to add the executables again from your list into here. So just to show you, we chose the discord.exe file. So we're going to add that executable here. And just like we did before, hit OK, and you now have a Discord mix in your audio mixer. And so nothing's going to bounce around because I don't have anybody in Discord with me right now. But you can go in and you can add those same filters like you've done previously to control your Discord audio. Finally, you're going to want to add in your games. Now, so this is where it gets a little tricky because you're trying to get away from using the default audio channel on your in your mix. So this will This method prevents you from having to download something like Voicemeeter, which I will show you how to do at a later date if you prefer to do that method. But this allows you to separate everything into its own channel, so you can control the volumes, and then you can still use the default channel for things like your sound alerts or your alert box and those kind of things. So you're going to want to add one more in. Go here, application audio output capture, and we're going to call these our games. So if you play games on stream, this is where, again, you're going to want to take advantage of this whole executables box. So I don't have any game open right now, but say we have games. One is called Chrome because we've got some Chrome tabs open. We're going to throw Chrome in there. We got one, let's just say, our Steam. You can add executable in there. And so basically now what this is doing is every application that you throw in, we'll throw one more. We got DaVinci Resolve open. We'll throw that in there. So if any of those 3 programs are going to make sound, it is now going to be picked up all within this same channel. So when I hit OK, if any of these are making noise, it would show up under the games. Now I've got everything muted right now in the Chrome tabs and that kind of thing, so nothing's bouncing around. But now all 3 of those programs are going to show up under that one channel. So you're only typically going to be playing one game at a time, so you're not going to have to worry about any overlap. But this allows you to set all of your games within this audio capture, and it's its own channel as opposed to having to use the default channel. So that pretty much covers everything that we wanted to touch base on regarding OBS Studio audio today. So everything from filters to the window audio capture. Make sure you get those downloaded and installed so that your audio is sounding crisp and clear in that final mix. Audio is so important in bringing new people in, making sure people stay. If you can't be heard over your game, if your teammates are too loud, or if your music is drowning everything out, it creates an unpleasant listening experience and it makes people not want to come back. So make sure you're always making sure that your audio is crisp and clear and using the steps that we covered in this video to do so. If you have any questions or any concerns, anything like that, please let me know down in the comments below. If there's a video or a topic that you want to see me cover, just shoot me a message as well. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later, everyone. Take care.